Well, hello, everybody. We are here live for another Live and Learn with MOMnation. And today's topic is awesome. All of our topics are always awesome. I say that all the time. It's like a broken record, right? But today's topic is super awesome because this is actually something that I had wished that I learned when my son was a teeny weeny. He is no longer teeny weeny. He is like 6 and big boy now. So maybe we could still learn this. I don't know, Kris, you tell me. So today we have with us Kris Smooke with Tiny Hands Baby Sign Language. Is it Tiny Hands Learning? I'm sorry, I messed that all up. You tell me. You introduce yourself, Kris.
Thank you. Yes, I am Kris with Tiny Hands Learning Baby Sign Language. And I actually have 2 boys. One is 5 and the other one is soon to be 2. So the oldest is David and then the younger one is Zeke. And so yeah, you could totally sign with your 6-year-old. It's really fun at this age actually, because it's still challenging, especially with the different hand shapes and everything. So he actually is your old 6-year-old is a boy?
Yes.
Okay, so he might love it. So yeah, that's actually how I started. I used to be an interpreter. That's what I went to school for. And when I had David, I decided I just wanted to stay home with him. And I just naturally started signing with him ever since day one. And he was super receptive to the visual language right from the beginning. And then I just had some like new moms asking me, hey, where can I learn? I want to learn how to sign with my little one, only to realize that Charlotte didn't really have a place to send them. So Tiny Hands Learning just kind of happened naturally. And it's been a really cool, very parallel journey to being a new mom. And now I'm reliving all of that with my youngest one, who's going to be 2 and signing like crazy.
I love it. I can only imagine how awesome it is for these little ones to be able to express themselves before the whole thing forms here so that they can do it verbally. And I imagine that's one of the most important reasons that, baby sign language exists, and we've started doing this with our children. Can you speak a little bit to that point?
Yeah, kids are so smart, ever since they're born, they are learning about language. And so once we kind of give them the means to express themselves, it's really like we have a window into their thoughts and personality, which is really cool. So there's been a lot of research and some really cool findings along with that research, why signing works, but I'll just touch on a couple of those. So I think the number one reason is that they're signing with your little one is really there are some remarkable emotional and social benefits. So this helps reduce tantrums, frustrations. They can tell us what they want and what they need instead of just yelling and screaming for those things. So I think that's probably the number one reason that we find that it's so important to sign with the little ones. But also, just getting down on their level and actively engaging with them in this way is really a great bonding experience for parent and baby. And, we're more aware of our facial expressions and our eye contact and things like that. So, so that's also very cool. One of the biggest things in like the studies is that it really, signing with your baby really boosts their brain development. So the reason that I kind of learned that this is the case is because language is processed in the left side of our brain and visual stimuli is processed in the right side of our brain. So when we're signing with our little ones and using spoken language at the same time, both sides of the brain are engaged simultaneously. So in turn, that's when, that research has shown there is a 12-point IQ advantage, larger reading vocabulary, better grades in school. And so, yeah, there's just been some really cool research out there.
That's amazing. I would have never thought about that had I not had this conversation with you. So thank you for opening my eyes. So tell me, so you started signing with your first child because that was what you did. It felt natural to you. About when? When is a good age to begin?
So there's really no, like, there's not a right answer to that, right? Because the babies are ready whenever we are. So research shows that around 4 months of age, babies start recognizing signs as a language, or at least a communication form. So that's around 4 months. And then around between like 6 and 9 months, babies have the dexterity and the coordination generally to start producing those signs themselves. But I will tell you that I started signing full language exposure as much as I could with both of my boys right from day one. And they both waited to sign back to me until they were almost a year old. So I didn't really see that first sign until almost 11 months for both of them. So just remember, you know, all kids do things differently and do things on their own terms. So definitely, sometimes you have to be patient. I have parents bring their babies to class and they're 6 months old, and mom's like, look, you know, my baby's signing milk and mom or more or whatever it may be. And I'm like, they're 6 months old. That's crazy young. Like, there are babies out there that do that, but generally I'd say more around the 9 months age is when you really start seeing, once they start doing natural gestures like clapping and all of that, that's when they're really showing signs that they're ready to start signing back. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta wait. But then even though both my boys waited to start signing until they were close to a year, by the time that they were 18 months, both of them had like well over 200 signs and were signing like crazy and super proud of themselves. Like, that's really the fun part, is to see them, like, it empowers them to be confident little communicators. They're like, you understand me, and just so proud of, you know, I want to go outside and look, I see a bird, or there's a tree, and just like, they're, you know, it's just really, it's fascinating to watch them communicate at such a young age.
I love that. And I think that that's huge and probably carries through to adulthood for these children, because confidence and communication tends to be lacking here and there, right? When we venture off into the adult world. So I think that that is awesome and a great way to build that at a very young age, when those foundations really mean something. They really make a difference. So talk to me about Tiny Hands Learning. You mentioned that you have classes. So you went from, hey, this is what I've been doing my whole life, you know, what I do professionally, I'm just going to sign with my kid, to now helping other moms. So talk to me about, like, what do you have for classes? Are they online? Are they in person? How does that all work?
Yeah, when we started, it was literally just like meeting at the library and just working with moms that I had already known personally. And then I started bouncing around to different like birthing centers and wellness centers. And so just kind of, I don't have like a permanent location for myself. I kind of just bounce around all over Charlotte wherever there was a demand. And then obviously in March, when I started needing to cancel classes and events, I started getting emails and calls and requests to work with families virtually. So in turn, I had somebody who reached out to me and said, hey, let's get this course online. And I am still learning as I go and figuring things out as this business has grown. And so I tried to see what else was out there online, and everything that I had was like 8-week programs for $200. And I'm like, that's too much. You don't need all of that. So what I did, I put my first 2 lessons online, and you can view all of the videos in under 2 hours. And it's $30. It's on Teachable. And once you sign up, you have lifetime access to all of the videos and the course content. So I think that's actually been the best feedback that I've gotten, is that it's, you know, you can always refer back to those videos. If you're later like, hey, I forgot how to sign this, you can always look back on the course and review that. And then there's some songs on there, and I'm actually just going to keep adding to that now that that platform's already there. So I'm going to add like Brown Bear by Eric Carle is my favorite book. to sign with the little ones because it's super simple and repetitive, and most families already have a copy of that book. So I'm just going to continue to kind of throw things on that course so that it's available and families can view it.
Awesome. So if I understand correctly, you are branching out or have branched out, and you're no longer only gracing Charlotte, North Carolina families with your presence, but now can go across the country. And I mean, heck, you're online, so why not take over the world, girlfriend? Get the world signing, right?
It's actually been really fun. I've connected with parents all over the country through this, and yeah, it's allowed me to connect with people that I never would have had the opportunity to do so. So yeah.
I love it. So before we let you run and get back to your signing and your clients, how about, could you teach us 5 simple things, like 5 simple signs that a parent could start with their child? Like if I were to come to you and say, hey, you know, my kiddo's 2 and I'd really like to get started, what would your advice be? What would be the first couple of signs?
So you definitely want to start slow. So my biggest like when I meet with anyone, like I'm a true believer in signing the manual alphabet. So on my online course, I have all of that for free. I'm not even going to go through that right now. Just the ABCs on, you know, it gives them a visual breakdown of each letter, and that's for your 6-year-old. It's still so fun. Like these letters are not easy to do. And so my 5-year-old still has to like look at his hand sometimes and like make sure that he's doing it correctly. But the number one baby sign is by far the sign for more, right? Because it's all about instant gratification. Like, give it to me, whatever it may be. Usually it's food. This is the sign for food. It's like you're putting something in your mouth. But the sign for more looks like this. You are the language model. So you want to make sure that you're signing it the right way, or at least the consistent way, because we are just using home signs at this point. We're not out in the deaf community. So it doesn't need to be perfect. Our goal is improved communication, not perfection. But when baby signs it back, it's important to remember that we just want to let them sign it however they want. So this is a real common way for baby to sign more. Both of my boys signed more like this. So if your baby's in the high chair and you sign more with them and they're clapping and looking at their food, you know, look out for cues. That may be their way of signing more. And so the most important part there is that you're responding appropriately. So sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it. So if you think that they may be trying to sign more, then you say, oh, are you signing more? And get excited. And that's when they're like, they have that aha moment, like, you understand me, right? So so that's really the key there. And then once they start signing, that's when you're like, I want it all. I want to learn everything, because they'll look at you and they'll want you to label things, and then they'll look at you again like, do you know that sign? Show me that sign. So definitely more is a good one to start with. And then all done looks like this. So we're putting our palms facing our body and then throw it out with one swift movement. So all done, which is definitely better than them just like throwing their food on the floor. And when baby signs back, it'll probably look like this. This is actually the deaf applause. This is yay in sign language. But again, let them sign it however they want. As they get older, they will make those corrections on their own and change their hand shape. You know, in the beginning, they're doing it just like we are. And we definitely don't want to frustrate them or deter them by trying to correct them. So just let them do it however they want. Milk is another one, and this one's hilarious, just like we're milking a cow, right? And so it doesn't matter if we're nursing or bottle feeding or transitioning to cow's milk, it's all the same sign. Also remember, kids live in the here and now, and so context is extremely important. So, you know, when you're signing milk, make sure that you're ready to feed them. And then I already showed you the sign for food. So there, I mean, that right there is 5. There's mom, this is mom. All of our feminine signs are located at the bottom part of our face. And then dad is up at our forehead. Masculine signs are up at the forehead. So yeah, it's really fun. And I could go on and on, obviously, so I will stop there. But thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it was great to learn this. Thank you for, I always love doing these, and I interview tons of our mamas across the country that are skilled like you know, well, not necessarily skilled in what you're skilled in, but you know what I mean, that have a special skill or something, and I always learn something from it. So it's me thanking you. I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me and sharing your passion and your skill.
This is a sign for thank you. Thank you.
All right, Kris, we'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.